How's it going? I'm Ryan. Today I'm going to go over the one trade that I took on NQ. Took a long, was stopped out at break even essentially. I think it was about $70 gain, so we'll consider it break even for all intents and purposes. But we'll go over this trade and then a quick update on where we're at. So, um, been out of trading for a little bit. Had family in town, had some other obligations, so wasn't really trading much the past week and a half or so. However, the PA accounts did get blown. Those were lost in a couple days of tilt, essentially. Not one bad day, but it was just a losing streak that culminated in a bigger loss than it should have, which ended up doing it. Um, wasn't necessarily on purpose. It was more so just a bad period followed by some tilt after a bad period that kind of capped it off. But in doing that, we opened up two more challenges, and we have these in just a few days. Ran those up quite a bit. I'm not gonna really recap that. That was over the past like week or so. Taking trades essentially that I would take just with bigger sizing than I would take on like a PA account. Just adding essentially double the amount of contracts, because these are challenge accounts, and we're just trying to activate them really and get to the stage where things matter a little bit more in terms of consistency, rules, etc. It doesn't really matter your consistency on these challenge accounts. You could pass it in one trade if you wanted. So willing to take a little bit more risk. Like I said, taking the same trades that I normally would be, but in doing so, usually like doubling down on my position sizing, which allows me to scale them a lot quicker. Also, trading's been going pretty well on these accounts, so my win percentage is up pretty good. Not a lot of losses, which also allowed me to build them pretty quick. So we're about 400 away from activating these into PAs. But that's just where we're at. Just want to give a quick update. But let's jump into it. This trade was super simple, nothing too crazy. Let's take a look. For reference, this blue, turquoise, teal line is the VWAP, and then all the others are EMAs. So we have the 200 EMAs, the purple, the 20 EMAs, the green, the 13 EMAs, the yellow. This just helps me with the overall trend and also like pullback targets and entry targets, as well as risk management. So kind of trading the same ideas, but using these as an additional kind of little bit of a layer. So I'll pull up the 1 hour chart and we'll just look at what I was watching coming into the day. So we have yesterday's price action here. We've been kind of choppy, right? We've had a few days of some pretty choppy price action. On Monday, we had a pretty big rip to the upside. Tuesday was a bit choppier. And then these levels that we have are yesterday's high and low, and then pre-market high and low. So green and red are daily high and lows. These dotted yellow levels are pre-market high and lows. Other than that, that's pretty much all we were watching. Coming into the day, initially, we were downtrending after Monday's rip. We'd been kind of trending down. So what I was watching initially was that we were below all these EMAs. That's indicating, a good sign of a downtrend. We were making lower lows, lower highs in this little bit, but we hadn't taken out this pre-market low. But as we opened the day, I was watching a rejection of yesterday's low as well as these EMAs here. We did not, though. We went all the way up, ran up and tested the 200 EMA and the VWAP and closed pretty strong. So kind of sat out at this point. I'm just waiting in this little range. I don't really want to do anything. I want to see us either clear this high and start making our way up to the pre-market high, or I want to see us reject here and break this high and head towards pre-market low. So I think I said this high, I meant this low here and head towards pre-market low. So off the first couple candles, not really much to contemplate here. I want to see a break of higher highs or a break of lower lows, just some sort of indication to direction that we want to go. From there, we break higher. We look like we might get a little pullback off that pre-market high. We see us trying to push up past it, failing to close above it, but we don't really. And then we got this really crazy candle. It was right at 10. I wasn't aware of news coming out at 10. Something must have happened though. You can see the volume spiked and price acted pretty volatilely. So that got officially pushed us up over high a day and closed above pre-market high. From there, we came down and tested pre-market high twice, and that's when I entered long. I entered long, risking off this low right here. So entered long here at 385, I think 386 it was, somewhere right in here. Risking off this low, so about 26 points of risk. And then I was targeting tops of these candles around 415 for my first trim, which would be about 30 points, and then the daily high for my second trim. I entered with 7 contracts per account, so it was 14 here, but I'm using the trade cop here, so 7 accounts per account. I take 5 off at the first trim, leave 2 as runners. Like I said, stop here. Why I got stopped out for break even? Well, we just started chopping sideways for about 20. I mean, we didn't break out from when I entered at 10:15, when we broke out at 10:55. 40 minutes of chop in this range in here. So just a lot of kind of waiting for price to do something, and it wasn't. Additionally, what I was looking at, and this is why I raised my stop to break even, is I was looking at this 15-minute chart, and you could see the 15-minute chart was looking real bad around that pre-market high. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4 candles, you know, printing where they're getting that long upper wick. They're testing, looking like a bit of a reversal potentially. So once we were just stuck in this range, 15-minute was looking pretty weak. I de-risked and prop my stop to break even. So I did adjust the strategy, right? Had I kept my stop where it was and my take profits where it was, we did eventually break to the upside and move quite higher. So that trade was valid. It was a solid play. Another reason I took this trade initially is because I was looking at the 1 hour, and we'd set a low, and then we'd set a higher low and broke higher highs, and broke that pre-market high. So that's kind of what I was watching, is that we had, you know, like this little breakdown here, quick recovery, hold and move higher on the hourly, and then we were holding that pre-market high. Everything was bullish to this point. We were above all the EMAs. Everything was kind of trending to the upside in this particular instance, which is why I took the trade. The reason why I de-risked on the trade was because that 15 minutes started to look weak, and we were chopping around for a significant amount of time with no clear direction as to whether we were going to break to the downside or upside. You know, I guess there was a little bit of an indication that we could have known that we were breaking to the upside just because the EMAs were all bullish. Overall, we were bullish still, but I didn't really want to take a ton of risk on that. So once we had been chopping around for a while, I just de-risked and was stopped out for break even. It is a little unfortunate looking at if I just stuck around for another 20 minutes. You know, I was in the trade for over 20 minutes. If I stuck around for another 20 minutes, I would have been had that trade fulfilled and had a really nice win. Potentially bringing me close to that 3,000 profit goal, but nonetheless, you know, I can look at it and understand that it was still valid. But my concern was valid as well, so I don't regret this how this trade played out. That's it. I'm gonna try to make these more regularly. I was on a bit of a hiatus, and that was just due to life and family and whatnot. But we'll try to get back to it. That's all I got. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a great day. Peace.